If there are train tracks in your city, you were taught early on that it's better to stay away from them. Playing with the risks of third rails, huge spikes, and of course, passing trains never ends well. Regretfully, not everyone understands the message. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. In December 2014, two brothers were strolling along some railroad tracks in Rhode Island when they noticed something, or rather, someone, that hadn't been able to cross the tracks so easily. They had to decide whether to intervene and assist or to let Mother Nature take her course. Near their Lincoln, Rhode Island home, Jacob Vincent and his brother Max were taking a stroll along the railroad tracks. The calm, bright day was enhanced by the delightful flowing sound of a nearby creek. Then Jacob saw something strange. It was not a train speeding through the little town of a little over 20,000 people. "I spotted a dark object lodged into the opening of the tracks," Jacob said. He flinched when he saw that black thing was an animal. In fact, a tortoise. Jacob could only speculate as to how long she had been stuck in the tracks. However, there was indications that the tortoise was in pain. The heat from the sun must have been intense against the metal railings. Actually, Jacob saw that the tortoise was also dehydrated, which was a sign that she had been stranded for a long period. The brothers needed to make a choice. Would they aid this tortoise, or would they let nature to carry out its frequently harsh tasks? It was a simple decision for Jacob. "I quickly ran down to the stream to fill up my water bottle," he stated, "to pour onto the dry turtle to help her regain the hydration and energy she had clearly lost. But to get rid of her, more would be required." The tortoise was genuinely trapped, so the brothers set to work attempting to release her. Despite their best efforts, the brothers were unable to transfer her. Fixing this issue would take time. Jacob began to feel anxious about the train at that point. He took out his phone and used the tracks to check train timetables. His greatest concerns were validated by the data, which showed that a train would be passing by in less than an hour. Now, they were under time pressure to preserve this tortoise. Nevertheless, the youngsters had run out of answers. They realized they wouldn't get the task in an hour and lacked the muscle and power to do it. Jacob looked at his phone once again. He dialed animal control this time. As time went by, the train approached. Within minutes, the brothers were certain they would hear its whistle and even catch a glimpse of its front through the woods. However, they had no choice but to wait for animal control. Animal control came before they could hear the train or feel its vibrations along the rails. According to Jacob, the crew members shared the same compassion for animals that my brother and I share. This turtle needed to be saved. Initially, Animal Control employed the identical tactic the two boys did to get to the trapped tortoise. The turtle refused to move when the staff attempted to remove it. Even worse, the poor girl was now afraid. The turtle began to writhe, moving her limbs and legs about while still stuck in the tracks. Jacob then suggested a different tactic. Why not make use of an object nearby as a kind of tool? Is there a way to make a tiny gap between the tortoise and the rail? "I decided to push a nearby piece of wood under her belly to help slide her out," Jacob explained. The concept had flaws, even if it could have appeared outlandish enough to work at the time. Jacob, his brother, and Animal Control labored to rescue the tortoise for 5 minutes. She refused to move, though, despite the wood beneath her. 10 minutes soon followed by 15. The train continued to roar closer and closer. After battling for 20 minutes, Jacob and the group managed to free the trapped tortoise. Daisies, sunshine, and tortoises stranded on railroad tracks. Everyone rejoiced, though the tortoise could have been the hardest. The boys' moment would have been more thrilling only if the train had passed by a few seconds after they had released the turtle. Hey, they were probably pleased with the way things worked out, but there was still work to be done. The heroes of the day had to take the turtle back to her home, even if the train wouldn't be dragging any of them. But Vincent had an easy answer. "My brother Max picked up the snapper with no hesitation," he stated, "and brought her down to the creek so she can run free and pursue her ongoing life as the prehistoric monument that she is." The brothers did give this tortoise a chance. which is something that not all tortoises get when they cross the railroad tracks. So many people were struck. For example, in Japan, workers dug turtle tunnels beneath their tracks so they could pass easily. This turtle is back on the proper route, safely where she belongs, because of these two animal-loving brothers. Saving the life of a single tortoise is incredible, but nothing compares to what this Indian guy recently accomplished. Introducing Swapan Debarma and his daughter Samadhi, who is 9 years old. They didn't think twice about putting their own lives in peril to stop a horrible catastrophe from occurring when they recognized that hundreds of lives were at stake. The beginning of this tale took place in the Tripuran village of Danshara. Tripura is situated in a physically precarious position in India, sandwiched between Bangladesh and Myanmar, with just one major railway linking it to the rest of the nation. Swapan and his family lived in extreme poverty in this area. Their modest dwelling consisted of a bamboo-woven hut that was devoid of furnishings and included only a few cooking pots and linens. Unfortunately, the Debarmas typically had very little to cook. Swapan, his spouse, their 3 kids, and Swapan's parents make up the family of 7. Swapan attempted something new, as he could no longer see his loved ones go hungry when they couldn't even afford a grain of rice. Swapan took Samadhi for a stroll in the nearby woodland on June 15, 2018. He was searching for bamboo to chop down and sell at the market for a few rupees, in addition to fruits to feed his family. There had been a lot of rain in the area throughout the last day. He encountered the remains of a landslide while traveling through the Theramura Hills. The travel of the two was hampered by this. You see, sticking close to the train was one way Swapan avoided getting lost. However, he discovered that the tracks had been moved when he happened across the collapse. Any train approaching would plunge down into the river below. Because of India's dense population and little resources, trains are frequently crowded. The trains are nearly always packed, even when people aren't sitting on the roof. In the event of an accident, many people suffer injuries. Swapan could have spent those hours looking for food and bamboo to support his family before the next train came. However, he was aware that it was his responsibility to alert any train engineers to the damage. The sound of a train moving down the tracks in the distance finally reached Swapan and Samadhi after over an hour of stillness. The two were sitting on the train, and the engineers must have seen them since they kept blowing their whistles. The train was traveling on the Northeast Frontier Zone, a once-daily 4-hour journey from Agartala to Dharmanaga. Because of this, there had not yet been any accidents on those tracks, but the threat was now apparent. Swapan removed part of his clothing and made flags out of a few pieces of cloth. As the train sped at him, he was standing on the tracks, waving his garments. The engineers initially believed Swapan was insane. Was he attempting to board a train that was kilometers from the station? Was he attempting to pass the train? Was he attempting to cause mishaps? The train was not slowing down and was approaching Swapan in a risky manner. In an attempt to get the engineers to stop and save a youngster, he desperately dragged his daughter in front of him. Despite her fear, Samadhi's father encouraged her to be strong. For everyone on board, please remain strong. Just a few feet from where the rails had been moved, the train came to a stop. The train's chief driver, Sonu Kumar Mandel, hurried outside to check on Swapan and Samadhi. He begged to be photographed with the two heroes after realizing they had saved him and his 2,000 passengers. Their fame was only getting started. Before anybody in Tripura understood the tale of Swapan and Samadhi, Sonu shared the photo on Facebook. Their bravery was even reported to Sudeep Roy Barman, the Minister of Health, Science and Technology for Tripura. He thanked them face to face and asked them to dinner at his house. In the months that followed, appreciative travelers and adoring residents lavished Swapan and his family with presents. They were paid checks totaling more than 300,000 rupees, or almost $4,000. The sole issue? Due to his lack of literacy, Swapan is unable to create a bank account. If he couldn't pay the checks, how could he support his family? Nevertheless, Swapan had a happy ending. In addition to having a train station named after him, he was given the opportunity to work for the railroad and take literacy lessons. As an illustration of bravery and sacrifice in the public interest, some even proposed included a chapter on Swapan's narrative in social science textbooks. In India, it is regrettably not unusual to see railroads that are unsafe or flawed. Amar Duri, a farmer, prevented a train carrying cargo from crossing a damaged track in the area earlier this year. Hopefully, no one else has to put their life in danger for the sake of the greater good because the Ministry of Transportation is aware of the problem. Swapan is very appreciative of the kind reactions to his brave deed, primarily since it enabled him to adequately support his family. This could not have been possible without his courageous little daughter Samadhi, for whom he was naturally grateful. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.